All right, now after the break, we'll have former Nigerian Army spokesman, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, retired, who will join us for more perspectives on this issue. Join us again.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, thank you for staying with us. It's Daybreak on Trust Television, reaching you from the nation's capital in Abuja. Looking at the recently released and published names and pictures of 19 terrorists released by the military who declared them wanted. And we are seeing, we have in the studio the former spokesman of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, retired, to give us more perspectives. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your program.
All right. Now, the report says terrorists from across 3 major locations, the northeast, north central, and the northwestern part of the country. I'm looking at the names and where some of these terrorists are from. Out of the 19, I can see that about 10 of them are from Zamfara State. 8 are from Katsina State, with I think 1 from Sokoto State. So all of them from the northwestern part of the country. I'm not seeing anyone from the north central or the northeast. So I'm wondering how encompassing this is or holistic this is.
First and foremost, I think first we would like to commend the military for being bold enough, labeling these criminals as terrorists and coming out with the most wanted list. But this is just a routine thing. If you recall, this is not the first time. I could remember the first time we had 100 wanted Boko Haram terrorists, and to a large extent it helped by involving the public, and that is why it is very, very commendable on the part of the military, for involving members of the public, because in most instances, these people mingle with the society, and a lot of people are ignorant of means of livelihood of these people. To some extent, some of them could pass as respectable members of the society. But now the pressure is on them. It's part of the psychological operations. Now, I know for sure this is work in progress, because this ought to have been released much earlier than now. And I know another batch of most wanted terrorists will also be released by the military. But that notwithstanding, we have to look at all the, criminal elements on other parts of the society. If you talk about the Northeast, North Central, you are saying, and of course, particularly the Southeast also, because there are some people that are masterminding all these atrocities being, committed. But most importantly, again, beyond involvement of the public, I think the military should also take advantage of technology, to also deal with this issue. But we have to be very careful. Like I told you, this release ought to have come much earlier, and the substantive progress have been made, because some of them, I think, might not be the way they are. But what I'm trying to say here is that there is every likelihood it will jeopardize against some aspect of the progress being made in the anti-banditry and anti-kidnapping operations being undertaken by the military and other security forces. But I must say that it is a good move. It will put pressure on them, and of course people will be in a better position to know the vocation of some of these people and assist the military and security forces in giving out information about these people, because they mingle with the society.
General, it was a good thing you said it could jeopardize part of it. Yesterday, some people, some residents of some communities in the Northwest that spoke to our correspondent, they expressed fears that this announcement could further endanger their lives, that there may be resurgence of attacks in some communities because of this.
No, not exactly in that way. What I'm trying to say is that if you look at what is happening recently, yes, the military have been unrelenting in their, concerted efforts in dealing with it, particularly the aerial bombardment and what have you, and it's yielding results. But what I'm trying to say is that the government and the people realize that you just have to involve the issue of carrot and stick approach, because some of these issues, security challenges, require non-kinetic approach. Non-kinetic approach in the sense that there is need to go to dialogue further and negotiate, not necessarily with the criminal elements. And I can give you an example. Just recently, the Chief of Defense Action Committee led to the release of 23 people that had been in captivity for over 6 months or thereabout. Now, with that kind of effort, we are supposed to build on it. So, to some extent, I know for sure some of these people are even tired of these criminalities they have been involved. And some of them are trying hard. It is not the youth that are japping, they also want to jappa, because they have accumulated so much money. Now, this will help. So, it is not the way people tend to talk that way, that they have the capacity to carry out reprisal and all the rest. Now the pressure is on them. You have been a respectable, so to speak, member of the society. Now the government is placing bounty on you, that you are a criminal. And of course, rightly so, because they have masterminded a lot of atrocities in Katsina, Zamfara, and Sokoto states where they emanated from. And I'm so sure more will be revealed. So I think people should not look at it from that perspective, but we should be able, we should support and encourage the government and the security forces in this wise to ensure that we give credible and timely information, because a lot of people do see them. And I am quite aware of the fact that some of them really, just like I said, they want to Jaffa, they want to escape, because they have accumulated so much. You will be so surprised to know the level of money they have accumulated over, these ransom takes and what have you. So there are so many reasons.
Okay. All right. There are those who would argue that is this really necessary, declaring them wanted? I mean, what the writer on that story on the Daily Trust says, locals are saying that the whereabouts of these terrorists are known. It's not like it's not known. For one, the governor of Kaduna State is on record to have said that they know where these bandits are. They know where these terrorists are. They have their telephone conversations. They have, they know where all the camps are and everything. So why do we have to declare a bounty on, people that we have intelligence about their whereabouts?
Well, you knowing it could be physical at the same time, it could be technological, just like you rightly said. But what I want you to understand is that I earlier made reference to the fact that we need to take advantage of intelligence, because I know a lot is being done in tracking, these people, and I know a lot of them have been arrested, and that is why I caution about jeopardizing the other aspect, because some of them have even been arrested. I hope you understand. So we need to update this and take advantage of that, but that is just by the way. But to address that issue about knowing them, that is why now they are taking advantage of people, the whole society approach in which people with credible and timely information in respect of these people, and with the understanding that you are going to safeguard whoever gives you information about these people. And I don't think it is correct, because how can you know that this man who has masterminded killing of over 50 people, ransacking of quite a number of villages, abducting people, and you will just turn a blind eye to it? I don't think that is correct.
All right.
So, but even as of yesterday, the Air Force have been bombarding some of the camps, known camps of these people. And every day there are new developments in respect of that issue.
Okay. How much of results have we gotten from previous declaration of, publishing of the wanted list? How much of results have we gotten in the past in terms of community or locals coming, forward with information to say, oh, we have information about the whereabouts of this person, and it actually led to the arrest of the person? How much of it have we seen in the past?
I will not be in a position to precisely say in terms of figures or numbers, but I know during the time when I was in the Army and when I was Director of Army Public Relations, when we came out with the list of, after launching the motorcycle battalion, coming out with the 100 most wanted Boko Haram terrorists, it gave the society greater sense of belonging, and they were able to assist, because a lot of them were apprehended. People came up with information, not even minding the ransom, attached to it. Ordinarily, being patriotic Nigerians, they were able to volunteer information, and it led to a lot of arrests, because some of them were even caught at the airport and other places. To what extent, the numbers I cannot remember precisely, but it helped. And I have no doubt about the fact that this also will help. Okay, so, but the thing is that we need to have faith in this, and the military and the security forces ought to take measures also that will ensure that the information being volunteered by the members of public is utilized effectively, and of course people are given greater sense of security if they volunteer this information. And I would like to take advantage of this to call on Nigerians to assist and take advantage of this information being provided by the public, by the military, to take advantage of it, to understand that the fight against this criminality is a collective responsibility. Each and every one of us has a role to play, even if it is, best wishes and prayers. Talk less of, if you know something, you are supposed to let someone know. It is not just that you just take, you have to have a nonchalant attitude, because it will surprise you to know that people know a lot of things, but they don't even know how to go about doing it. And that is why we are talking about the government and the military should create an enabling environment for which, in which, the public will also be in a position to assist further. What do I mean? Empowering them. It might not necessarily material things, but protection and utilizing the information when given. And most importantly, beyond the human intelligence, take advantage of the technology, because like it is rightly known that ransom are negotiated for and being paid electronically, using the telephone services. So what happened in terms of tracking? I know for sure they used to dispose some of the SIM cards and what have you, but I think taking advantage of that technology, satellites and what have you, you can be able to track. And I know they are doing very well in respect of that, but we need to have more of that, users of technology.
General, there's still that lack of trust between the citizens and security operatives. I know you've spoken a bit about that, but I still want you to harp on it. Some Nigerians feel that when they give information to security operatives, sometimes we have had stories where after providing this information, the bandits or the terrorists come after them, which therefore means that there's a mole somewhere that tells the criminals that, oh, Mr. A or Mr. B has given information about you. What do you think the security operatives can do to further make Nigerians feel that, oh, it's okay to give us this information, you're safe?
That was exactly what I was saying earlier
I need you
about
to harp on that more.
Empowering. But beyond that also, the community ought to be, more empowered to build inward mechanism in terms of community resilience. In the sense that all these criminal activities that are happening, it's in most instances there are issues of insider collaborations. Hardly any kidnapping incidents will take place without somebody knowing, not knowing the victims or casing the victims, as it were. And a lot of people, suddenly they become rich overnight. Nobody knows their source of income. Many of us are oblivious of, in fact, in most instances, especially in the city areas or what have you, you hardly know the name of your neighbor, two houses to the left, 2 houses to the right, or 2 houses in front of you, or 2 houses at the back. And you talk less of domestic staff, which to a large extent, is part of the security education, but that is one. Two, I had made mention of the fact that beyond even empowering the people, not necessarily material, protecting the source of information, but effective utilization of the information. If you give information and it was acted on, you feel satisfied. But beyond that, again, it is not just the military. We also have to look at our criminal justice system, because it is disheartening that you see someone, for sure he or she has committed social offense that warrant him to be in jail for a long time, maybe 30 years, 40 years, or life jail time. Then he will just be slapped on the face. 2 years or 1 year or sometimes 6 months, you will see him on the street. I had made reference to the fact that there was somebody who was part of, the gang that murdered 7 security agencies, and yet he was just given 7 years jail time. For goodness sake, before you know it, possibly he might be eligible for pardon and what have you, and he will come out. So these are the issues.
Probably contest for election.
Possibly. Possibly. So these are the issues. It is sometimes some of the issues are beyond the security agencies. We have to look at the whole government approach, the whole society approach, that every component of Nigerian society has a role to play.
Right.
If the security agencies were able to arrest and do diligent work and prosecute, the judiciary should also do justice to the matter, give appropriate punishments and what have you. So these are the things.
Okay, so now looking at the risk involved in this, and looking at the bounty, 5 million naira, do you think that it's enough motivation to actually get people to provide this information? Because I'm looking at the value of 5 million naira in today's Nigeria, and I'm wondering, to what extent can it actually, if one is to, say for instance, relocate and leave their entire environment, what can 5 million naira actually do?
Well, don't look at it from that perspective. You see, you have to give it to Nigerians. Sincerely speaking, we are good people. Money or material things do not matter. We want the very best for this country. And I can rest assure you, there are people out there, if they have the information, they won't mind the risk and, volunteer information. But you have to create an enabling environment. So it is not the money. It is not the money. I hope you understand. And I made reference to the fact that several instances when we released, the photographs and information about 100 most wanted Boko Haram terrorists, most of the people do not even bother about, the reward in respect of that. And I'm so sure people will volunteer information not mindful of the fact that they are even entitled to certain amount.
But what's the essence of a bounty? If we are putting a bounty on something,
it is to encourage people. People will need the money. But beyond that, you made reference to an instances, and we know in some countries when you volunteer information and it is realized that it will jeopardize your life, they will relocate you. They will even change your identity. And we are clamoring for that kind of bill to protect, informants and witnesses. Some civilized countries do have them. And we are getting there. I can assure you, this is just a starting point. Yes, the risk involved, we have to be mindful of that. But honestly, don't look at 5 million naira, a small amount of money, given, the information. No matter how the information is. I hope you understand. So it is not the issue of money. We should try to encourage Nigerians to also be partakers in the security, in finding solutions to security issues.
Let's talk about the channels of this communication. If one has an information now and he wants to relate it to the Nigerian military, what channels does it go through? And who? I mean, the chain of people involved in this, and whether or not we will not lose the integrity of this information within the value in the chain of communication.
Media trust also publish such information, and I know I came across several of your publications that made reference to the toll-free number of the Nigerian Army 193. It's toll-free, whatever is the security challenge. But beyond that, even this information that was released yesterday, there were telephone numbers there. And but beyond that, again, I think various services, they have the, complaint decks, human rights decks. In fact, I know for the Army, initially it was based in the Army headquarters, but they moved it to somewhere where it is easily accessible to the civilian populace. But I know beyond the headquarters, at the divisional and brigade level, they also have human rights decks. And apart from that, there are social media handles. If you have any complaint, that you can also take advantage of.
This is highly classified information. This is a very sensitive information that people are providing. Providing information about terrorists is not something that one wants to do it casually.
Okay, so I'm not preempting you.
What if on the other end, the person you are providing the information is probably compromised? I'm just saying, probably is compromised.
At certain point in time,
what have we put in place to make sure that the people receiving that information
at certain point in time,
people with integrity and that they have been tested?
At certain point in time, you just have to respect and trust people. We have to have the best of intention towards each other. Otherwise, we will not make any progress. And I was giving an instance where we were discussing that, look, Yusuf sent me a reminder. And I said, look, you told me that you have had experiences with other people. And I said, I'm Sani Usman. My word is my bond. So you should have trust, just like I have trust on you. I know you, so we should be able to have that best of intentions towards people. Yes, there could be hitches here and there, but when people volunteered or asked you to do certain things, they gave you assurances, you have to take it in that regard. But beyond that, if you are so afraid, of course you can take advantage of the, technology. You don't have to. You take advantage of the social media that you have information or you like to meet somebody in person. Several instances, I have left the Army. A lot of people approached me in respect of security issues. And of course, I approach the appropriate persons and link to them up. Even yesterday, it happened. So what I'm trying to say here is that we should have, trust on some of these institutions. I mean, these security agencies. Otherwise, we will not make progress, because psychologically, you are demoralizing these people every day. And she talked about deficit of trust with the security agencies. And with this attitude, honestly, we will not make progress. I can rest assured you, before they come out with these ways of, providing information, they have taken precautionary measures to ensure that, it is safeguarded, the lines are secured, and the identity of the person is also, not revealed, and what have you.
All right,
so encourage Nigerians to take advantage of it, give them more hope, not the other way around.
All right, General, when Daily Trust was doing its story yesterday, it spoke to some experts, and one of them said that with this bounty, it could force some of these people to turn themselves in. Is that a possibility?
Well, all well and good.
But do you see it pushing some of them
Some of them have
turn
started,
themselves
it may interest you to know, and that is what I was talking. Some of them have started turning themselves up. They are even tired. And that is why I made reference right in this studio to the fact that that action committee, they have a lot of information. We should build on what they have been able to do thus far to see how best we can mitigate these security challenges. There are a lot of things ongoing as it is. That it is for the betterment of the Nigerian society. Betterment in the sense that the security challenges are gradually abating. I hope you understand. So basically, these are the issues. So I think if any one of them felt he will take advantage of the 5 million naira and turn himself in, all well and good. But that does not preclude the fact that justice may not take its course.
Well, at this point, will you say that the security operatives have the upper hand? Because some persons say, with this, it shows that the military security operatives have cornered these people and that they have the upper hand.
Well, it is not the way people would like to look at it, contentions between us and them or that kind of thing. Dealing with security challenges that are so complex as it were in Nigeria, you have to evolve so many strategies and tactics to ensure that you mitigate the security challenges. So coming out with this list of 19 most wanted people is one of those. But there are other stages, measures being taken. I have made mention of the aerial bombardment and of course the underground moves, to ensure that the non-kinetic aspect is being utilized also. So these are part of, issues dealing with the security challenges, and I believe as time goes on we'll see more of it. The bottom line is we want a more secured Nigeria. Everybody is tired of these security challenges, and we have been emasculated for too long, and it is about time that we have a solution to these security challenges so that we enjoy socio-economic development in this country.
Right. Now, will this arrest, will it necessarily translate into a defeat of the terrorism that we have seen in the Northwest and in other parts of the country? I mean, we have seen that some of the commanders have been killed before, but it doesn't seem to stop. We've seen that, the fighters, they regroup themselves and they choose another, or they elect another leader for themselves and forge ahead. So will it necessarily translate into an end to this terrorism?
It might not necessarily, because first and foremost you have to look at the motive. And I want you to distinguish between terrorism and banditry and kidnapping. Terrorism is more or less associated or manifested by the activities of the Boko Haram, ISWAP and what have you, is ideological. Therefore, yes, leadership is very important. By the time you get rid of the leader, another leader evolves. And in most instances, there are some of them that are even far more ferocious than the leader. Take, for instance, when Yusuf was killed, Shekau emerged, and so on and so forth. And when Shekau died, other people also emerged as leadership, and so on. But in the case of these bandits, you look at the motives. And the answer to that question is yes and no. Leadership is very important, but there are some of them that also wanted to get rid of the leaders. You have had instances where other, bandit leaders were killed by the bandits themselves so that they can take over, the territory and resources available. There is that competition. But beyond that, you look at the motive. And the motive is that it's pecuniary and material gain among them. It is not ideological, it is not. And the issue now borders on good governance. It is simply because now it is kind of a way of life. People are now getting rich overnight in respect of this issue. And if we don't deal with the root causes of this matter, it will continue to be, in vain.
Okay.
So, but we have to think of reviving our local government system.
Okay, just before we go, I would like to get your take on how far the redesigning of the naira will impact in our fight against insecurity. Yes, we've seen the economic dimension to it, but then on the security dimension to this issue, to what extent would it help in the fight against insecurity?
I think it will help in the sense that, some of them, take for instance even the issue of ransom money, millions of naira stashed somewhere. Now people will be forced to bring it out. So to a large extent it could help. But beyond that again, I cannot imagine a situation whereby you have so much amount of money, given the revelations that are coming out. And in most instances, some of these people, they were not legitimate, earnings of these people. Some of them were earned through dubious means. And some of these dubious means could be, criminal activities as manifested in banditry, kidnappings and what have you. So to a large extent, it will help because people will be forthcoming and a lot of revelations will come up.
So how positioned is the military and the armed forces to be able to track this, taking advantage of the redesign of the naira? Now that we are seeing large deposits coming into the banks, is the armed forces or the NIA, for instance, taking, positioned to take advantage of this, perhaps in tracking some of the...
Well, one thing I want you to understand, there is effective collaborations among the security forces. Is it financial intelligence units and what have you? And of course, you made mention of the NIA, given the international connection. But domestically, too, there are a lot of collaborations among, the security architecture in dealing with this issue, as it were. Take, for instance, the relationship between the Nigerian police and the correctional service, the military and the police and the Department of State Service and what have you, in tracking some of these criminals and their activities and giving information that leads to their arrest. And several instances through such transactions, either ransom, collections and what have you, they are being tracked, they are being intercepted and they are being arrested. And apart from that also, even in carrying out criminal activities or even logistics, to the insurgents or criminal elements in society, they are also being tracked. It happened in Kaduna and so many other places. So I have no doubt, I believe they will take advantage of it to improve on their performance in terms of synergy of efforts and tracking these people.
All right, thank you so much. Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka retired. He is a former Nigerian Army spokesman joining us on Daybreak to give perspectives. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for